The touch of your hand makes me do love. It's a smile on your face, and as time goes by, I know I'm in a better place. I'm in a better place.
Welcome to another show, Put It All on Red. I'm Roberta the Tool Lady, and I really appreciate everyone for joining me. I'm asking you to please join my YouTube. I plan on going on there, speaking more lives. So please join and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a special guest tonight. I have Minister Alma. She was here before with us, and she just had so much information. I brought her back, and she's a ideal of resilience. So, Minister Alma, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you for inviting me back. I'm really excited to be here on today. A little bit about me. First of all, I want to say if you'll notice that I'm laying down, it's not because I'm sleepy and I wanted to go to bed for the night, but I had a massive stroke 3 years ago. So I do these podcasts from my bed. So I'm an empowerment speaker, an author, a playwright, an educator, and minister. That's a little bit about me.
All right. Well, actually, that's a whole lot about you, Minister Alma. So it's going to get really interesting because, sometimes I think about when I talk to you and when I hear you and I think about your situation and where you're at. I think about there's a saying. It says some people worry about the shoes that they're going to put on their feet, but then you see a man with no legs.
Amen.
Yeah. And I thought about that. I was like, because people worry about things and basically they're not really the most important things, I guess I should say. So tonight's show is going to be called Resilience. Um, and so resilience is an ability to recover from or adjust easily. And we all know adjusting easily is easier said than done, right? So as we talk to Minister Alma, we're kind of gonna dive into that. So first of all, let me ask Miss Alma, Minister Alma, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm excellent. I'm excited because my physical therapist was here earlier and she said that my legs are moving much better than they were when she started. So glory be to God.
Wow, wow, that's something exciting. That is exciting. And I have seen people who have recovered from strokes and who are walking mobile or using their other limbs as well. So that's encouraging. It's very encouraging. Um, well, for me, I'm still a little bit so I'm in the middle of everything because it's kind of raining here off and on, and the sun come out, then the sun go back in. So I'm kind of feeling that away. But I'm indifferent, I guess I would say, for right now. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's talk. First of all, we're going to talk about some politics. So we're going to spice it up with Minister Alma for a minute. We just got made aware on Monday that we're going to have a woman running for president. Um, and we're saying a Black woman. I want to know what everybody's thought is that, about that. What is the what is everybody out here thinking about that? Minister Alma, what are you thinking about it?
I know I'm seeing a lot of people on Facebook saying I'm with her and I just want to see what platform she's gonna run on, what she's gonna say she's gonna do for the people. So I'm excited that an African American woman is in the race, but I don't want to just vote for her on her color, but on what she says that she's gonna do.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Is she gonna be able to bring it? I think certainly she brought some interest back to the race, because basically, before she came, before they made that announcement, I was kind of done with the whole deal, to be honest with you, because I was like, this can't be real. So she did bring some. She brought some light to it, I guess I would say. And I'm like you, not necessarily saying go out and vote, not necessarily saying I'm with her, but I am saying that I'm interested at this point again. So I can say that. And then I want to say too, because everybody's podcast, some podcasts stay away from politics, but I choose not, because guess what? People need to hear this. Get go get go get registered vote. Go and vote. Our ancestors passed, they've died to vote, for us to vote. So please go register to vote. We missed the local. Some groups even didn't even go and run in the local, your local uh elections. Start making that your business, because guess what? We're going to be affected. Either we get involved or don't. If we just sit back on the sidelines, we're still going to get affected. Yeah, affected by what comes out from these people that are going into these offices. So we need to be more vigilant, and we need each other, because in masses we can make a difference, but individually we can't. So that's just my little spiel.
Amen.
Uh, because I mean, because it's scary. Because if we're not represented, what happens, right? Now we do have like she said, an black woman that is going to be on the ballot as president. So hey, go get registered. Go make your voice known. So that's just like I said, my little spiel about it. Please go. I don't care who you vote for, but go vote. Now I'm torn and haven't seen her since the Chuck's and right, that part. So that's what Minister Alma is saying, is that not necessarily going to vote because she's a black woman or a woman of color, but wanting to know, what is she going to represent? What is she going to do? What is she going to do for our country? And how is she going to navigate this ship? That's the whole deal. And we need someone to navigate. I didn't see her out there cutting up a rug on all these TikToks, which is cool. I like to dance too, but that don't mean I can run no country. So I'm just saying. So, but we need to get out and get involved. And so I'm hoping that, like I said, she got me a little bit more reared up for the election. So I'm hoping she gets everybody else engaged too. If not, that's better than nothing, right? All right. Well, again, let's talk about oh yeah. Well, yeah, Trump probably will try to try to bully her. He is a bully, right? But he got pretty much game too. So he took this getting shot in the ear and made him into a whole hero and a pawpaw now. I seen him he had his grandbaby on there doing a speech. He's a whole, well, I can say he seems to present a little bit more humble. He ain't talking as much ish as he usually do. So I say that because usually he talk big, but he been kind of toning it down. So we gonna see how the end of this year is. It's just I think if nothing, it's a time for us to be prayerful, but also be active
Amen.
because we're gonna be a part of it. Now, Minister Alma, I spoke to you earlier, and Mr. Alma said she had wrote 5 books individually, and she's been a part of 20 anthologies. So altogether 25 publications. And then she went on to tell me that after her stroke, which her stroke, she lost her ability to be mobile and some ability with her hands as well. But she said she used her fingers to tap her last book on her cell phone. Is that correct?
Yes, my last 3 books were written on my cell phone with one finger on my left.
One finger at a time. That's resilience. That's resilience. Now let's back to train up. Um, Mr. Elmer, tell us about your like your. I want to know about your before on to now. So maybe just a storyline.
Okay. Um, I was born in a portion. No, I was born in Mississippi, and I migrated to New York when I was 3 years old. I've lived on Long Island, New York, for the majority of my life. My upbringing was pretty normal. I lived in a diverse community where lots of different people went to a diverse high school, graduated, went to college. Originally, I wanted to be a lawyer, but I took a semester off and worked at Head Start, and that's where I stayed for 32 years as a head teacher at Head Start. In 2009, my son passed away from heart disease, and he died on February 13th, 2009. On April 17th, 2009 was his first birthday in heaven, and I was gonna unalive myself, not because I wanted to be unalive, but because I wanted to spend my son's first birthday in heaven with them. I was wondering if the angels were singing happy birthday, if my grandmother had baked a special cake, and I said no. The only person who could celebrate his birthday is like his mom. I celebrated his birthday for 18 years, and this one shouldn't be any different. So I placed all my pills into my hand, and I know that there's a God because a small voice said to me, if I do it, I won't never see him again. Because even though he was young, um, when he passed away, he was saved, sanctified, and filled with God's precious Holy Ghost. He loved church at that young age. He was a deacon in the church, and he made sure that the church was warm in the winter and cold in the summer. He restocked the stores. Matter of fact, he spent all his weekends at church on Saturday early. Excuse me, he would go clean the church, and on Sunday mornings, he would get up early and make sure every was ready for Sunday school. Matter of fact, I have a funny story about him. When he was in 12th grade, that was the first time ever he got in trouble in school. And he got in trouble for telling the teacher that he was talking. The teacher told him to be quiet. And he said, if you could teach, I would be quiet because everybody's asking me how to do the questions. So I'm explaining to them how to solve the problem. So the teacher could get out of school and call me. And when he came home, I was like, Tyshawn, teacher said that you're gonna fail math if you don't go there on Monday. And I'm like, nope, I'm not apologizing because I'm not sorry, because that's the truth. You can't teach out his lies. I said, yeah, but you was rude. You can't say that to your teacher. So he was like, no, well, I'm not going to say it. And then I was like, listen, if you don't say it, you're not going to graduate. I'll tell you what, if you don't say you're sorry to that teacher, you're not going to be able to go to church for 2 weeks. And he looked at me and we both died laughing because he said, Mom, what kind of minister tells a child they can't go to church as a punishment? So that's how much he loved church, that you could take his phone, anything else away from him, but just don't take away his church. So, and then after my son passed away, and I was gonna unalive my soul. On that day, I cried myself to sleep, and I knew that I needed help, and especially 15 years ago in the African American community and church, mental health was like a taboo subject. We don't tell our business. What's done in this house, it stays in this house. Um, you just imagining that. Ain't no such thing as panics and depression. You ain't depressed. Get up. So it was like either now I'm a minister and I know to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So my spiritual man was all right because I did understand um that he was in heaven and wouldn't come back if he had a chance. But the mom in me wasn't okay. The mom in me was silently suffering. And it was like when you go to church, they tell you if you love God, you'll get through it, and slap some oil on you and send you on your merry way. So I was going to church on Sundays with these issues and leaving with these issues because I know it wasn't right that people was telling me he's in a better place, and I'm thinking in my mind, okay, you let your little Johnny or your little Susie go, and then tomorrow you tell me if Johnny's in a better place when he doesn't come home to his bedroom, when he'll never sit in his dining room chair again. You tell me if you're Johnny, and then people would say, instead of rejoicing, I was mad when people would say, my grandfather was 98 years old. He had a heart attack and he survived. And I'm thinking in my mind, why did God save your 98-year-old grandfather and he had lived his life and my son was just starting his life and God took him. So I know these thoughts wasn't right and I didn't know how um to get over it. It wasn't happening just by praying. That I needed something more. So I decided on that Sunday morning when I ran to the altar and I couldn't wait for altar call. I couldn't wait for the pastor to preach. I needed to get to the altar and I needed to get there fast. And I told God, I said, I'm dirty, God, but I want to be clean. I don't know how to deal with this thing. And and that's the day that I decided it's okay not to be okay. That it's not either Jesus or therapy. Jesus and therapy work hand in hand, just like with your physical health. If you have diabetes or high cholesterol, whatever it is, and you're prescribed medicine, you take it. So with your mental health, it's just as important. If the doctor sees that you need anxiety pills or you need depression pills, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to talk to somebody to verbalize your feelings. And when I went to EAP, which is the mental health part of my job, and we talked about the stages of grief, I knew the stages of grief because I majored in psychology in college, but reading the stages of grief and going through them are two different things because I couldn't understand why one day I was at acceptance. I was like, okay, I'm finally at the final stage. And then the next day, I wake up and I'm in denial again. And I was like, wait a minute, this ain't going one, two, three, four, five. And then I realized that grief has no expiration date, and you can't tell people how long to grieve, how to grieve, because that's your unique experience to you. So I would tell anyone on tonight that don't allow the stereotypes and the stigmas to prevent you from getting help. There's a lot of pastors and people in the church who are committing suicide because they feel that they have no one to talk to. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
And
the okay. You like okay. You had some bad chapters in your life. Then I'm homeless for a while because the apartment that I lived in, another apartment caught on fire, and they condemned the whole row of apartments. So I find myself homeless for no fault of my own, and I go through the system, and they make me bring all my stuff down there, take my daughter out of school, all that, and then they end up putting me in a bed um, motel that I could only stay in for 1 hour before I called my sister and went to my mom, who stayed in a one-bedroom senior citizen apartment. But we had to stay there until we found something. Then you think, okay, that's another bad chapter in the life. Then I get married. I do everything right. I morally everything. I do everything right, and I think, oh my goodness, I finally found Mr. Goodbar. Well, I brought him home, and he was a snicker. I said, "Who did I marry?" And immediately I found out that he was addicted to crack cocaine. He was in denial. I couldn't even help him because he didn't want any help. So you can't help somebody until they're ready to be helped. You can want more help for them than they want. So we got a divorce, another taboo subject in the church. Now I ain't got a divorce because my anointing cost me too much that I'm not going to allow anyone to steal my anointing. Then, boom, bang, in 2021, I have a massive stroke, and the doctor's prognosis was that I had a 99% chance of dying and a 1% chance of living. The nurse called my family around my bedside. She asked me, did I want her to hold my hand till I just transpire? I was like, no, because I did not believe this stroke was unto death. I believe this stroke was for somebody else to see that you can have some bad chapters in your life. You can have some disappointment. You can make some mistakes. You can have some failures, but you don't have to throw in the towel. You cannot put your purpose on pause. The cemetery is full of unfulfilled potentials, dead dreams and visions. I refuse to die with my purpose inside of me. That's why I go on at least um let me backtrack. 20 years ago, it was prophesied to me that I wasn't just for the nations, but that I was global. So in my mind, global means that God was gonna um cure me of my fear of flying, and then I was gonna fly all over the world. One week I was gonna be in Africa, and I was gonna be in India and China, spreading the good news of the gospel. Then life went on, and uh, a year ago, before my apostle passed away, he named me ambassador. So I'm thinking in my mind now, he really got jokes. This is what his final words is gonna be to me, that I'm gonna be ambassador, and he talking to me while I'm laying in my bed. Um, but I want you to know that since January 2024, I have been on over. You know, when you check your I put all my appointments on my task page. So when you check your task, it tells you how many was completed. Since January of just this year, God has allowed me to speak on over 200 podcasts, seminars, and conferences from my bed. I teach I teach Bible study every Tuesday night from my bed. So God has blessed me and his what he has spoken into my life, because God is not a man that he should lie, nor the son of man that he shall repent, but every word that proceeds out of his mouth is gonna accomplish where it was sent. So right here in the place where the devil told me was over, right here in the place where the devil told me that I was never gonna preach again, right here in the place where the devil told me I was worthless, right here in that place God has used me more than he has ever used me of my 20 years in the ministry, right here in this place. So you can't tell me that God is not awesome. And then people say to me, because I try to do at least 3 or 4 podcasts a day, and people say to me, aren't you embarrassed to be laying in your bed on all these different podcasts all over the world? No, aren't you embarrassed to be walking around with your 2 hands and your 2 feet in perfect health, and you're not living the life that God has designed for you? Aren't you giving up? You've thrown in the towel. It's just like when you're driving and you're going to a destination and you miss the turn, you don't pull over to the side of the road and say, I'm not going nowhere now because it's the turn, so I'm not going back home and I'm not going to my destination. So we have this thing now called GPS that when you put in the address that you wanted to go to and you miss the turn, the GPS says rerouting, rerouting. Well, God is saying to someone now, rerouting, rerouting. I'm changing your plan. I'm not changing your destination. You're still gonna make it to your destination, just not the way that you planned. So don't give up in life because you have some failures, some mistakes, some rejection. People have talked about you. Whatever it is that you have in your belly that you want to accomplish, don't wait for tomorrow. Because what I learned on April 23rd, 2021, is that April 24th was not promised to me. I had all kinds of plans of what I was going to do. My plan was not to wake up that morning with all kinds of tubes coming out of my body and them telling me that they wanted to put me on a ventilator. But if they put me on a ventilator, I only had a 99% chance of waking up. And I didn't even feel like I wasn't breathing. I have asthma, and sometimes when I can't breathe, it feels like an elephant sitting on my chest. But on April 23rd, 2021, I know that God had me on his ventilator and he was breathing the breath of life into me. So I can't sit down on my talents. I can't sit down on my gifts. And I go on these podcasts to inspire and then empower people to get up off your seat of do nothingness, and whatever dreams and visions you have in your heart, to do it again. I'm reminded of of Peter in the Bible, huh? When he was fishing all night and he didn't catch anything, but in the morning Jesus had need of his boat. So Jesus said, launch out into the deep. And after Jesus had finished preaching to the crowd, he said to Peter, throw your net over. And Peter said, I'm going to use my spiritual imagination for a minute. Then Peter said, now, Jesus, I know you do miracles on high. Know you can build a house. You're a mighty good carpenter. But listen, me and my boys are fishermen. We've been fishing all of our life, and we know when it's time to catch fish and when you can't catch fish. And we've been here all night and we didn't catch nothing. So we just want to go home, eat our breakfast, go to bed, and try it again tonight. So Jesus said to him, he said, at my word, do it again. And Peter was obedient and he threw his net over into the water. And guys, see, a lot of us are living on just enough. God, give me, uh, God, give me just enough. God, give me just enough. But God wants to give more than just enough. God gave Peter, because of his obedience, a net break blessing. Not only was he blessed himself, but he was able to call his boys and say, come on over here. I've been blessed so much, but I need to share it with somebody else. So somebody on tonight, oh, glory be to God. Somebody on the verge, somebody's on the verge of throwing it in the towel. But uh, at my word, put again, start that business again, rewrite that book, go back to school, whatever it is that is your dream and desire, put it, because when Jesus gets into your boat, your situation and your circumstances cannot say they have to change. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't rock your dreams. But go after that stuff. I like that song that says, I'm chasing after you. Hallelujah. I'm chasing after when I wrote my book with just one hit on one, I couldn't get enough because I got frustrated when I tried to do from the audio talk. It messed up. I had going back, but I refused to give up. I had a book in my belly. I had heard about that book. No matter what I had to do, I was chasing after my dreams.
Right. I love that. Love that. Now, what I wanted to do is just go back to, because you said several things that were taboo for what you're talking about as far as church, as far as religion, taboo for our culture. Uh, so I want to go back to when you said unlived, because some people don't understand that's a new term for suicide that we're using, and suicide is very taboo in our communities, and people are doing it, like you said. People are considering it, and people are carrying it out more now, post post COVID. So more people of color are carrying out suicide. More children are doing it. So I appreciate you letting everybody know that even as a believer, that you can become attacked in such a way, or your mind can start to go against you in such a way that you do resort to that thought pattern, and letting people know that you can reprocess it or rethink it, and you can rethink it and live. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, because that's important in itself. That's a big nugget, because that's a big deal right now. And like I said, and as just as a culture of our own, not only just in church, just in our communities, we're not really ready for that. We are not ready to accept that, and how to work with, how to give help or how to deal with it. So I really appreciate you bringing that out. And then you talked about grief, and grief is ongoing. Grief is very ongoing. It's not anything that you can get over. We like to think we can plan things. We got control, but we don't. We don't have control. These things do happen, but that's why I said resilience for tonight, because I believe your story is a story of resilience. Uh, we can't control how we grieve, what stage we're in, because there's 7 stages for one theory, 5 stages for the other. But they go off and on, because sometimes you have those anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, things like that happen, and you automatically think about, wow, this person could be here. My sister passed away, 8 years ago. And so certainly that never goes anywhere. So I had to learn some skills to cope with it. And then, like you said, to know when that is what it is. It's okay for me to feel like this today. It's her birthday. It's okay to feel like this when I'm watching her children get older. And then I said, wow, she's missing out on this. It's okay. Even for my things that I'm like, man, she missing out on this. So it's okay for us to be able to process that, and to know, okay, I'm feeling this way because of this. And because we don't talk, like you said, in our families, we're told to keep this hush hush, keep it quiet. It's a secret, right? But the
Right.
truth is, people can see it when we're walking around. So I really appreciate you bringing that out in your story, because those are some remarkable things to overcome. You know, uh, like you said, the death of a child. Uh, I have not had the death of a child, but I have had experienced the death of a sibling. And believe me, it took me down to my knees. So I would think that the death of a child would be unimaginable, you know. And so my heart goes out to you, and others who have went through that, because I know it has to be unimaginable. If how I felt, my heart was out with my sibling, I can only imagine. Um, Now, explain to us where, because and I appreciate you brought the word too. I love that as well, because that's true. We all were born with something inside of us, and you're 100% right. It's true when we say, because our brains don't think like his. Psalms 139 tells us that, right? He's not thinking anywhere like we think. We like to think we're strategizing. We like to think we got it, but we don't. His thoughts is way far, far, far from ours. And so, just like she said, well, hey, she was told she was going to be preaching or teaching to nations. Well, here on the podcast, we're on several different platforms, and we are international. So you're right. You're right. That's not so what's inside of you does come out. You just have to keep pressing. Like she said, don't give up. I love that. I love that you're encouraging others even from your bed. That is awesome. That's awesome. Um, Now you said you had, so you have a daughter as well.
Yes. Yes. She's my caregiver, as a matter of fact. She's 22
Okay.
and a senior in college, and she's a mom's caregiver. She makes sure I have everything that I could ever need or want.
That's a blessing. That's a blessing. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, Now, let's talk about one of your books. And you picked Dream Killers.
Yeah,
And and when I thought about Dream Killers, I thought about Joseph. So I'm hoping I'm not on to anything. But you tell me what this book that Dream Killers is all about.
exactly. Someone Joseph in there because
Okay.
is one of my favorite personalities in the Bible because he dreamed when he was a young boy, and it didn't come to fruition for many, many years. But in spite of being in the pit and then in the prison and back to the prison again until he finally made it to the palace, he held on to his God given dream. And that's the difference is that when you have a God given dream, no matter what happens in between, you believe in that dream. But on Dream Killers, I asked God, someone had asked me to write an article for a magazine, and I was just gonna write something that I had already because I before I published anything in 2016, I would write all the time. I would say my sermons, everything, and save them. So I was just gonna dust off something and write the article. But God placed in my spirit Dream Killers because I was working on a book from the waiting room to the recovery room. And that's the book that I started writing when the doctor came into the waiting room and said he did all he could do, but he couldn't save my son, and I could never finish that book. I kept writing the end of it over and over and over again, and I couldn't understand. I said, "Why am I procrastinating? Why?" And so when God said, He said, you can't finish writing from the waiting room to the recovery room because you have not yet made it to the recovery room. You're still in the waiting room, but I've called your name several times, but you can't hear me for all the noise around you. He said, and you have allowed people, places, and things to kill your dreams. And so then when I started investigating the idea and the things that can kill your dreams, it was fear of success, fear, doubt, all these things. It was we have to strategically place dream killers that are placed in our life to kill our dreams, and then we have people who don't mean to kill our dreams, but their words still kill our dreams. It's like what you're saying is true, but we should not allow it to stop us. Like they might say, you're too old to go back to school. Maybe you are older than the a freshman, but that doesn't count you out. Um, and low self esteem, your past, you start thinking about past mistakes. I remember when I went to school before, I just couldn't get it. Maybe it's not right for me to go back to school, and you allow those things to kill your dreams. So once I was able to identify the things that personally had killed my dreams in life, I was able to write from the waiting room to the recovery room. And then, like I said, the next three books that I wrote after the stroke was "Is Surviving the Stroke," "Against All Odds," a book on faith that I wrote on the Bible that I read the chapter of the Bible, Hebrews, that I read over and over again, especially Hebrews chapter 11. So I wrote a book on faith and all the things that I had been through in life, but I still held on to my faith. And like I said, on every Tuesday, I teach Bible school, so I wrote a book on a Bible study book on leadership. So it's like once you do something, whatever it is that you dream to do, once you make a step towards it and you see it being manifested, like when the first book that I wrote was Love, Marriage, and Divorce, I wrote that book with three other women. But when I got that book published and I seen my name, Alma Thomas, in print, I was like, oh my God, all my life I kept saying, I want to be a writer, I want to be a writer, I want to write a book, I want to write a book, but never took any steps to write that book. So once I saw my first anthology written with my name on it, I knew I was able to visualize myself now writing. So that's the same thing that everybody that has a dream has to do. Visualize, what does achieving this dream look like to you? What would your life look like if you was living your dream filled life? How would it affect your children? What kind of legacy will you leave when you leave this earth? Those are the things that motivate me, my why. Like if my daughter sees me doing this and accomplish this, how much more is she gonna accomplish because she saw me do it?
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you. I love that. That's true. And just going back to Joseph, because I've been guilty of this myself, telling people stuff, right? And being excited about things, and they're not excited. So that's what happened to Joseph. He told his siblings, and of course they was gonna make sure because they didn't like Joseph that they were his brothers and yeah, his brothers. So yeah, they were his brothers and sisters. So they knew Joseph already had this dream, so they was like, we're sick of him. We don't like him, and so they actually tried to kill him. They actually he went into slavery. He went to prison because he wouldn't go with his master's wife. So Joseph went through all kind of things, but he still ended up over the nation, just as his dream. That was his dream. So what you're saying is true. I'm going to tell you this here recently. Um, a long time ago, I said I want to work with parents. I want to work with parents. And by the way, I'm part of the Head Start family too.
Okay.
Um, I've been a teacher. I'm special services, so I'm a Head Start. I'm a Head Start family too. Uh, but anyway, I wanted to work with families so bad. Wanted to work with families so bad, and I never could, never could. I couldn't get. I didn't get the job, and I was disappointed. But here it is, almost 10 years later. Guess what I'm doing? I'm
Work.
doing exactly that job. Yeah, yeah. So it's already inside of us. You're totally right. All of this is inside of you. It's already inside of us, and I always wanted to see people grow. I want people to develop. That's always been my dream, is that I help other people. That I provide tools to other people. So uh, it's not just a name that I use online. It's really what I've always done. So it was really given to me by somebody else. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you're right. We have a lot to do, and you have a lot to do. Uh, and if we're not using it, what happens, Minister Alma?
If you don't use it, you lose it,
Losing. Yeah, yeah,
or never
yeah,
come to fruition. And you never see the, that one manifestation. You just give up. Like
yeah,
Joseph gave up when his brother sold him. Like, oh, how am I gonna show somebody I'm a slave? But he knew that deep down inside that it was gonna happen.
That's right. Because what happened? He went to prison, and I'm gonna do like you with the story. He told a homeboy in prison he could read dreams. The king was having bad dreams, so the homeboy in prison said, "Hey, I got this dude I met down in prison. We was doing time together. His name is Joseph. He'll be able to tell you exactly what you dreamed about." And he did. And that's how he got appointed in the kingdom. So just to say, wherever you at, it doesn't matter. I had a gentleman on, I think last week. He's been in prison twice, and living his best life at this point. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're only keeping, and some people that are what we call haters, I guess, they're keeping the tab, but don't keep the tab. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. Be resilient. And sure enough, as Minister Alma is, it does give us some type of beacon. It lets us know, yeah, we can do this. Now, Minister Alma, would you tell our listeners how they can follow you, how they can contact you?
Okay. You can follow me on Facebook, Alma Thomas at Facebook, and my website is http www.almathomas.at, and all my books are listed on my website. I'm gonna also put my website on my Facebook page, so you'll be able to reach me. Hey,
Okay. And then I will ask you this question. If you were talking to a younger Alma, a Minister Alma, what would you tell her?
um, never give up. Don't allow anybody to identify yourself. And I have one more thing to say to your audience. Do you remember when you was a young girl and you did something and your mom said to you, "Why did you do that?" And you say, "Because so and so dared me." And it's like if someone dared you, you have to do it. Well, on tonight, I double dog dare your audience to reach deep down inside of them to the dreams that they have rocked to sleep and awaken the dreamer. Awaken the dreamer inside of you. Once again, whatever it is that you want to do, make one step. You can't climb the whole staircase until you take one step. So take one step. If you want to start a business, get your EIN number. If you want to write a book, start by writing the first chapter. If you want to go back to school, get you a course catalog and just take one class. Whatever it is that you want to do on tonight, I dare you, double dog dare you to dream again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And because it takes a lot of what's the word for it? It really takes to go after your dream. As Minister Alma said, you really have if you have to battle self fear, the self sabotage, the self doubt, things that people may have told you before. And then, like I said, I've been guilty of just telling people my thoughts and my dream. And then sometimes your dream is even too big for you to even conceive it, let alone who you're telling. So what I'm saying is, sometimes it blows your mind when you get to thinking, let alone who you're talking to. And so you have to be careful with that, because people do, oh no, I don't think that's right. Or, I know such and such tried that and it didn't even happen like that. But what is yours is yours. What is God put in you is put in you. And then someone was saying something about being a copycatter. I can't remember if it was this conversation or before, but don't worry about someone else copying you, because no one else can. It's all you're an original. It's only you. God only made you. So that's my little nugget. There's nobody else like you. Nobody. That's what made you unique. There's no other Minister Alma. Correct?
And yes,
It's what made you unique. So don't worry about that.
so I
Um,
say imitated.
that's right. Can't be. Cannot. You are fearlessly and wonderfully made. Well, that's the conclusion of our show tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. Minister Alma, you want to say a good night?
Good night. Good night. Thank you once again for inviting me. I had a good time. Whenever I have the chance to share my testimony, I'm excited because what God has done for me, He'll do for others.
Amen. Well, I enjoyed you as well. Again, please go and follow me on YouTube and subscribe, because I'm going to start being there and I'm going to start talking more on YouTube. I promise. And I, like Minister Alma, I have 2 anthologies. Also have started a school of mindfulness. So I'll be putting that information out as well. And it's just coping tools. So look out for it. And good night and peace.
There's a sparkle in your eyes.